Well, let's move over into Lifetime, MTV, DirectTV, Showtime, and in that zone. Some shows to talk about. I want to talk about a Showtime show. I mentioned earlier. I mentioned the Nick, which is fantastic. Which I love. The Nick. Can't say enough about it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's brilliant. But also on Showtime, they have something coming called The Affair, which I'm really excited about. It stars my guy Dominic West, who you may or may not know from the Wire, who's fantastic, and it also stars Joshua Jackson, who you may or may not know from Dawson's Creek and some other stuff. Pacey, my boy Pacey's back, and Ruth Wilson, and it's basically it's a deep dive look at infidelity. There's this couple that sort of gets together. There's a murder. The trailer's very sort of like doesn't tell a lot, but it's this really sort of interwoven, extremely psychological character piece that sort of deals with the psychological effects of being in, running up to, and having an affair, and then the results of this affair, and then having to deal with it through the eyes of this crime. Also, Maura Tierney's back there as well. You may recognize from ER. Great cast. Looks super sexy and super interesting, and I think it looks great. I don't know, Joe. Did you?
I always get so nervous.
It made you get all weird. Why did you get so weird watching this trailer?
It's always so funny. I've been married for 12 years, and so it's funny when I see a show like this, and I go, because you don't really know, as a married guy, you don't see a lot of the pitfalls coming, and it looks to me like when I see a show like this where a guy's happily married and he just finds himself falling into something wrong, and it's going to destroy his life. And obviously the lives of everyone involved, and it hits me because it scares me.
Yeah, you're like, boo! I can leave the room.
I'm like, am I that vulnerable too? Anybody can be that stupid? I think is what what the lesson to be taken away is.
Well, you take a bunch of great actors and really in this piece, and they're really good at sort of playing up. This is from what it looks like. So the psychological piece. So I'm really looking forward to that. Julio, tell me about Deliverance Creek.
Deliverance Creek is actually coming to us from the best-selling author Nicholas Sparks, who you will know from The Notebook, A Walk to Remember, Safe Haven, all those sappy tear jerkers, because Joe doesn't like love.
I hate love.
Joe hates love.
I love love, but Nicholas Sparks.
This is actually his first. This is his television debut.
Sure.
Because he does a gajillion movies of his best-selling books.
Yes.
He's doing all right for himself.
He's like young. He's like 45.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He really hit the jackpot. So, so Deliverance Creek is a 2-hour period film. It's actually going to serve as a backdoor pilot for an hour-long drama. It's starring Lauren Ambrose, Wes Ramsey, Christopher Backus, Riley Smith. And so it looks like it's 2 years into the Civil War, and we have the character played by Lauren Ambrose, Belle Gatlin Barlow, and what's happening to her? She faces uncertainty at the life. She's defending her family's land.
I'm gonna go out.
There we go.
Does she fall in love?
I don't know if it's
okay.
Yeah, she falls in love. She falls in love real hard.
Is there rain?
But it looks. There'll probably be some rain.
Dude, have a beard. And do they make out in the rain?
I don't know.
He's going to ask you about geese in a minute.
I do not know.
Is there a boat, and are there geese?
There's just
So she's a mom, and she's attempting to defend her family's land during the Civil War, and she gets kind of badass. It looks. I mean, they don't show too much in the preview, but she's toting a gun, she's shooting away, and she's standing up for what she believes in. She's a mother, and there's a corrupt bank that runs their town. So she needs to stand up to them and decide if it's better to be good or just to try to survive. And there might be some love. There's a little bit of love.
There might be love.
There might be some rolling in the wheat fields.
Sure.
I really like where we're kind of getting to. We're getting to a place, as a society where we can actually portray the Civil War era and the pre-Civil War era with some reality, and I'm hoping that this show does that. It looked that way in what we saw of the pilot. So I mean, to me, it's a very exciting idea that we can actually show it how it was. It was grim. Life was short. It was violent. It was extremely religious. It was extremely bigoted. And so I'm hoping that all that comes across in the show, because that, I think, is something that's worth watching. If it's if it's a whitewash, like a lot of Civil War movies were in the 80s and 90s, they're just not. There's almost no fun to watch.
Yeah. Well,
where everybody's heroed and heroification. So I'm hoping that this winds up being something a little more substantial.
Sure. Joe, why don't you tell us about Happyland?
On a completely different note.
Yeah, how about that segue?
This is an MTV show that really looks like, I'm a Disney nerd, so the idea of a show taking place at Disneyland or Happyland is
watch yourself there.
Right, be careful. They were they said happy, not Disney. Right. The idea here is that basically all these kids work at Happyland, which is some amalgamation of Magic Mountain, which of Six Flags and Disney combined. A lot of it was shot up at Six Flags up here in Awesome Town and Valencia. What it looks like to me, what this show is basically is a bunch of tweens and 20-somethings that work at the park, and we follow them, and it's obvious their life is not a fantasy, but they keep portraying one for everybody else. And the new CEO of the park, his son has kind of snuck in. He hasn't announced himself, but he's gotten a job as a character, and so he's kind of in with these kids, kind of exist in their world, trying to kind of get along without telling anybody, hey, I'm the boss's son. He falls in love with this gal who's kind of the lead. She falls in love with him, and then they start making out. And once they start making out, then her mom comes along and says, oh no, I just got a letter from the president of the park, and he's probably your dad.
Incest.
And so that's about where the pilot lands.
Yay.
So it's a really interesting, it's like one of those things you're watching the pilot, like, I get this, I see what this, oh dang. You know?
MTV's a long way away from Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, so this is kind of what's become the buzz of the show, is this kiss, is this idea of incest. So not sure. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a dangerous way to go, because if you go down the incest road, everybody goes no. And if you don't go down the incest road, you kind of promise that you were, and then you didn't. So it's kind of an interesting place they put themselves in. But on the upshot, it has generated a tremendous amount of buzz about that show.
MTV has got a mega hit on their hands with Teen Wolf. That thing is a beast, no pun intended. And like, we're at Comic-Con, it was like the second most talked about thing at Comic-Con, like in front of like big movies. So they're really doing something right over there, and we'll see. I mean, they have the eyes and ears of the millennials, as they always did, and it's just a different time. So old guys like me who are like, where are the videos? Like, they don't care, because they're making hits. Nando, tell me about the Kingdom.
Kingdom. It's
not the
called Kingdom.
Kingdom. No,
Yes.
this is a guy's name, Fred Kingdom. I was like,
Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so Kingdom, it's on DirectTV. It's gonna be on the Audience channel on DirectTV, and it premieres October 7th, if I remember correctly. I don't have it in front of me, but it's a family drama set in the MMA world, over at a gym in Venice, and it has such an awesome cast. I mean, Frank Grillo.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, you gotta love Frank Grillo. Matt Lauria, who I love from Friday Night Lights. A big surprise here, Nick Jonas.
Oh,
Is
From
that
the
who that
Jonas
is?
Brothers.
Yeah, Nick
He's
Jonas.
in this one too.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I believe I say her name right as if I say Kylie Sanchez. Anyway, it's really good. The trailer definitely, it goes into the MMA world. Frank Little's struggling with his gym to just make ends meet. It's one of those types of gritty shows. And I really, I don't have DirectTV. So I really want to see if I can get my hands on this and watch this, because it looks
they're
really, really
gonna come up
good.
with something.
MMA is such a big sport. It's so in right now. Just it makes so much sense to do a show around this kind of world, that family drama. There's a little bit of a warrior feel to it too. So it's very gritty in a way, and I just love it.
Warrior, the David Mamet movie with Tom Hardy and Chiwetel.
Yes, that Warrior.
it's
Yes,
great.
Very
the
similar,
David
yeah.
Mamet,
Don't sleep on Nick Jonas. I mean, he was
doing some Broadway lately.
He's
been
Marius in Les Mis.
Marius and Les Mis. He did a stint on in How to Succeed for a while.
So,
So,
like,
he's doing it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him.
He seems pretty buff for this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely you got to be in shape to be on the show, apparently, because they're all got to
No
kick
doubt.
butt.
Fighters.
No
And,
doubt.
it looks like DirecTV kind of didn't pull any punches on this. They've got, I watched the pilot, not the pilot, I beg your pardon. I watched the 4 or 5 minute trailer in a restaurant, and I got some looks, because they're dropping F-bombs more than dinner at my parents' house. So,
Yeah.
So
Talk about the McCarthys from last show we did. Yeah, that's your typical East Coast family
That's
right
it.
there. Just throwing out the F-bombs, and that's their way of loving each other. Loving each other up
Pig
with
and Sal
insults.
can throw out some F-bombs.
Yeah.